Hi everybody and welcome back to Inside number 23, and it's time for this month's monthly favourites. So the monthly favourites of August 2016. Now I have a whole bunch of stuff to talk to you about this month. We've got some knitting stuff, some yarny stuff, some sewing stuff, some general amazing geeky goodness type stuff. So let's just jump right in. But by the way, one quick disclaimer, it is about 30 degrees centigrade outside today. It's so hot I can't even handle it. So if I look like I'm melting, it's probably because I am. First up, I want to talk about my personal pick of yarn for the month of August. And this is a bit of an interesting pick because this isn't actually any yarn that I have in my possession at this moment. I haven't actually purchased from this yarn supplier, but they are so special and so awesome that I just had to put them into my monthly favourites. I first heard about this particular yarn supplier at Fibre East, which I went to recently, and I know that Danny of Little Bobbins actually made a purchase from them, and that is Hooligans Yarns. And the idea behind Hooligans Yarns is that they have a rescued flock of sheep. So they've been rescued from slaughter, and they were, a lot of them, in pretty bad condition when they actually came to Hooligans Yarns, and they are basically a welfare comes first flock. So these sheep live a pretty awesome life, and since seeing their yarn briefly at Fibre East and kind of being captivated by them, because the idea is that the majority of the yarns that they produce are single sheep yarns. So when you buy your balls of yarn that are ready for your project, you get a little card with it that says which sheep that yarn came from, a little story, kind of backstory about that sheep and its life, and it's just incredibly personal. I was very tempted at Fibre East, and I'm kind of kicking myself now that I didn't buy anything from them because they are just so special. The more I read into what they do, the more I just think that they're an incredible group of people, Hooligans Yarns, and I genuinely am desperate to buy yarn from them in the near future. One thing I have been doing is following them on Instagram, and if you are a sheepy person, you will absolutely love their Instagram. It's at Hooligans Yarns, and they basically tell you what yarn they have available. You have lots of pictures of sheep being cuddled and having a generally marvellous time, and I just think what they do is really special, and I'm absolutely dying to buy some of their yarn in the very near future. So yes, Hooligans Yarns, so they are my pick of the month for yarn. Moving from yarn to kind of knitting patterns, I had a really lovely message from a viewer of the podcast this month, and that is Neil. So hello! She basically sent me a pattern that she thought that I would be interested in, because as you may or may not know, I have a little bit of a thing about bees. So basically, the pattern that was sent to me by Neil was by Drunk Girl Designs, which may be a designer that you've heard of. I had never heard of them before, but the pattern was basically colourwork mittens. The pattern is called Bee Arch. As you can see, along the tops of the mittens, one of them says bee, the other one says kind of ouch, so it's kind of like Bee Arch. Yeah, and I just found this pattern absolutely hilarious. I thought it was so funny. You know that I'm a big fan of colourwork if you watch my podcast, and I just thought that these mittens were really beautiful but also very funny. When I started looking into some of the other patterns that Drunk Girl Designs has available on Ravelry, she has a lot of different mitten designs. If you're not into, shall we say, fruity language, you know, the swears, the curse words, that kind of thing, these patterns may not be for you. Some of them are of slightly more adult content. I don't have a problem with these patterns. I think that they're really funny. I think they're beautifully designed, and there is a nice balance of the slightly more naughty ones in comparison to the more family-friendly ones, and I'll just pop a couple of pictures of some of the other ones in here as well so that you can enjoy them. But basically, I think these look great. I think they look so much fun. I want to knit some for me. I think they would be lovely patterns to knit for family members, for gifts. You know, Christmas, it is a little bit far away, but if you want to start gift knitting, you know, these things, I don't think you could go wrong with a pair of these mittens. They're absolutely adorable, so definitely have these kind of queued up for future projects, and I just really love them. So thank you so much, Neil, for making me aware of Drunk Girl Designs, and in particular the Bee Arch pattern, and fingers crossed, hopefully I will be able to get one of these on the needles in the near future, although I have so many things to work on, it's not even funny. So moving away slightly from knitting, the next thing I wanted to talk about is actually a TV program to recommend. Now, last month I recommended Stranger Things, which I absolutely loved. I finished it now. I know that a lot of people have been talking about it and it was amazing. Basically, following on from that, Emrys and I and my parents have started watching another program which is by the writers of both Stranger Things and the team behind The Sixth Sense. So you get a kind of idea of what it's the style of this TV program, and that is Wayward Pines. And we are currently working through season 1 of Wayward Pines. It's kind of difficult to describe. If I was going to give you a very basic rundown of kind of the feel of it, I would say it's sort of Stepford Wives meets The Truman Show meets Stranger Things. So if you're a fan of any of those particular genres, then I'm pretty sure that you'll enjoy Wayward Pines. Very much like Stranger Things, Wayward Pines I do think appeals to a broad audience, which is great. In terms of the actual specifics of the story, I really don't want to tell you what it's about, because part of the kind of enjoyment that I've had of it so far is just not having really a clue what's going on. It's very mysterious, but if you were a fan of Stranger Things, I would check out Wayward Pines. Big thumbs up for Wayward Pines, which is basically really helping me after the come down of Stranger Things before the next season of that comes out. So yes, really enjoying that, and that is my top pick for this month in terms of TV. My next favourite is definitely going down that geeky path again. August in general has very much been me embracing the more geeky sides of my personality. Something that I showed on a recent episode of the podcast, one thing that I have started to collect and that is definitely one of my favourite things at the moment is Pops. So these are Funko pop figures, pop vinyl figures, and yeah, I just love them. They're very well known. They've been out for a really long time, but I have only just started collecting them, and you could say that my love of these is now bordering on obsession. I have already shown you my Harley Quinn. This is Harley Quinn as she is portrayed by Margot Robbie in Suicide Squad, but since purchasing my Harley Quinn, I also have a little Joker friend for her. So this of course is the Joker as portrayed by Jared Leto in Suicide Squad. So I have my little matching pair. They're very happy together in their very dysfunctional toxic relationship. But as well as that, yes guys, I've managed to acquire another one in the past month, and this was actually a surprise gift from Emrys, because if anything, he just fuels my habits, which is why he is a very good husband. But he purchased me Oswald Cobblepot from Gotham, who is basically the Penguin, and I love Gotham, and Oswald is definitely my favourite character, so I'm so happy to have him to add to my little villain collection that I've got going on here. Which is funny because yeah, all of these are from the Batman universe, the DC Batman universe, my first 3 pops, and I'm very fond of all 3 of them. They are currently living on a shelf in my sewing room and bringing me lots of joy, but the obsession is kind of getting to another level now. I've seen pops of Once Upon a Time, which I'm a huge fan of. I love the Evil Queen pop that they have, and also the Rumpelstiltskin one. I've got my eye on the new Labyrinth collection that's being released next month. It is my birthday in September, and I want some pops for my birthday. The more I research pops, the more that I seem to want to acquire, so I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a more extensive collection of those growing over the next couple of months or so, but yay, pop figures for the win! My next favourite of the month is actually a sewing pattern that was just released, and it is one of the new releases by Gertie, Gretchen Hirsch, for Butterick. And this particular pattern is Butterick 6390, and it is a cropped jacket, and I absolutely love this jacket. I have been eyeing up jackets of a similar kind in the shops for quite a long time. I think this is a nice piece that could kind of work well in almost all seasons. It's based on, I believe, a 1940s more female military look, so it's very much Rosie the Riveter style in its design, but the lovely thing about it is dependent on what fabric you use for it, it can become very 50s, it can become very 60s looking. It's a really versatile versatile shape. I really want to make this up in denim and have kind of a 1950s denim jacket look, because I just think it looks beautiful. But my other reason for wanting to make this jacket is because my next recommendation, my next favourite of this month, is a sudden resurgence for me of a love of pins. I used to be the type of person who collected pins when I was a child. After that, as I got a bit older, I kind of migrated that love into brooches. I do have quite a large brooch collection that I love. But recently on Instagram, I have just become obsessed with some incredible pins that are being produced. I absolutely love them and I cannot get enough of them. And the idea is, if I were to make this jacket, I could cover it in some of these incredible pins and just have the coolest jacket of all time. Pins and patches and all of those kind of things on a jacket that I myself have made. I pretty much think that that would be living the dream. In particular, some designers of pins that I have been swooning over. One of my particular favourites based here in the UK is someone called Veronica Dearly. She has a really nice selection of different kinds of pins. Some of them are slightly more adult in content again, so bear that in mind if you look on her website. But in general, they are all just really fun, witty and clever, and the majority of them are in a beautiful palette of colours, very pastel, lots of blues and lilacs and pinks, and I think that they are gorgeous. Another producer of pins who I have become aware of recently, mostly because of lovely Jacqueline, because she posted a picture on Instagram and then I went Instagram stalking after this, is Pusheen. She does some knitting inspired pins which are amazing, crafty, kind of slightly darker, more edgy pins which I love and I am obsessed with, and I want all of them. They are amazing. And last but not least, one that I have seen recently which has been produced by Colette, who make the most beautiful sewing patterns, is a pin of a seam ripper with the little phrase "no regrets," which I just think is one of the funniest things that I've ever seen and so appropriate. We all love a seam ripper, so I would love to have that on a jean jacket. So that's the dream, that's the idea. At the moment, that's what's been filling pretty much every waking hour that hasn't been spent thinking about pop figures and knitting in general. As we know, that's what I tend to think about the majority of the time. I don't know, perhaps we need to start some kind of a knitting, sewing, pin club, because I would be all over that. My last favourite of the month is something incredibly silly, but it has brought me such ridiculous amounts of joy over the past month that I couldn't not show it in this video. And that is a recent purchase of mine of a pair of pyjama bottoms that feature basically me in animal form as far as I'm concerned, and that is Pusheen the cat. So obviously the majority of you probably know who Pusheen the cat is. Pusheen is a little, I believe, Japanese cat who is very fat, enjoys eating food, enjoys being ridiculously cute, and has been featured a lot kind of in memes and that type of thing online. But recently I was made aware by a very good friend of mine that in H&M there were Pusheen pyjama bottoms, and although I don't purchase a huge amount of my clothes from high street shops, when I saw these, I just couldn't resist them. They are black primarily, they are jersey fabric, and they are absolutely covered in Pusheen doing some pretty amazing things. For example, Pusheen eating pizza, Pusheen eating noodles, Pusheen eating junk food, and Pusheen eating ice cream. It's ridiculous. I know, you probably think I'm insane, but wearing these makes me very happy. So as a more silly favourite, these are definitely up there. And to be perfectly honest, I can't wait for the end of the day when I can put these on and just chill out and snuggle down, because that's the life I lead. Rock and roll, you know. I think I'm pretty cool. And that's my monthly favourites for August, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I can't believe that we're at the end of August already. It's pretty insane. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit happy, because obviously going into September, going into autumn, my favourite time of year that I love more than anything. And also next month is my birthday month. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel to be kept up to date as to when I upload more videos. For now, I hope you've all had a wonderful month. I hope you have a fantastic September, and I will see you very soon for another monthly favourites. Bye!